with SSJ is presented by Walker Medical Linen Services, locally owned and operated, HLAC certified to the highest standards. Walker has partnerships with hospitals, surgery centers, and medical clinics in and around the metro area. Walker Medical Linen Services in Kansas City and online at walkermls.com.
Kansas City Royals.
Last year the Royals were 12-1 against the White Sox. This year they are 3-0. They have won 7 straight series versus the Pale Hose.
Maybe the Royals can keep this thing going. Bobby Witt Jr. have a lot to do with that.
Chris Bubic has made 7 starts this year, moving from the bullpen back to the starting rotation. His ERA is 1.98. That is the 7th lowest in the major league.
Here's Salvador Perez.
Find the gap, Vinny. Get on your horse.
That will bounce off the wall. It's a very small horse, but Vinny's on it. And he will score on another double by Salvador Perez.
Salvi, what a gap shot that was, Jen. You said another. That's amazing, this guy, the captain. He's glad they have a DH spot for him. 13th double on the team. Just one behind Junior.
Well hit, deep right center field. That's going to be over Maton and up against the wall. Fermin scores. India will be held at third, and Bobby Witt Jr. has his second RBI double and his 4th hit of the game.
Wow, man, oh man. Macraturo going to give Bobby a little extra time to get ready for the game tomorrow night with Boston.
Now Vinny drops one into center field. Here's India to score. And Vinny has another multi-hit game. There is still nobody out, and the Royals lead 9-0 in the 8th inning.
And the Sox down their final out of the ballgame.
And the game ends with a strikeout. And Royals pitchers strike out 10 in a 10-0 shutout of the White Sox. Salvi had 3 RBIs today. He had the first 2. Bobby Witt Jr. had 4 hits, 3 runs scored, 2 stolen bases, and 2 RBIs. Michael Garcia drove in 2.
Yeah, really impressive. I think really what stood out to me was how we kept going through the middle of the game. I mean, that's a tight game. Big hits from Salvi early, the triple by Michael to extend it, and then continuing to push. You know, to get it to 6 was huge, and then obviously the 8th inning was nice, but to get it from 2 to 4 and then 4 to 6 was really big, and the pitching was awesome.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Friday, getting down on Friday.
It's Friday then, it's Saturday, Sunday.
It's Friday again. It's Friday, Sunday. It's Friday again. It's Friday, Sunday. It's Friday again. It's Saturday, Sunday. It's Friday again. I thought the hands of time would change me, and I'd be over this by now. Yeah, it's been too long since we got crazy. I'm lucky spinning out. I'm counting down to
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to the show entitled New Day with SSJ here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. It's without SSJ again today. Is he still in Chicago? My name is Nate Bukaty. I'm with you for the next 4 hours. I used to be a part of this show on a daily basis. Now I'm a semi-regular contributor. I don't know what you call what I am now, but I'm hosting the show today, just like yesterday, and I'm excited to be with you. Yesterday, I spent the first 10 minutes of the show talking about how the Royals had won 15 of 17, and Jake gently reminded me, or let me know, when we went to commercial break, hey, you might want to check that. I think it's 14 of 16. Well, I just knew they were going to dominate the White Sox and get the sweep in Game 4 of their series, which is what, of course, they did. And now they've won 15 to 17, right?
You're just Nature-Damus.
Oh, man, that's exactly what I am. But I will say this. Steven, last time I was in, tried to pin one mediocre outing by Bubic on me because I had the audacity to talk nicely about Bubic. And my point was, I've been talking nicely about Bubic for a long time. So now I get all the credit because he went 7 innings of scoreless baseball with 7 strikeouts and a walk yesterday against the hapless White Sox. And the Royals now have, in fact, won 15 out of 17. When you're the real deal, you're impervious to any kind of sports jinx that a lowly broadcaster like me could put on you, and that's the deal with Bubic. He's a real deal. He is now 4-2 with a 1.69 ERA. It's kind of crazy that he's 4-2 with a 1.69 ERA because the Royals' offense has not been great, but it was great yesterday. 10 runs. And I don't think a single home run in the game, right, for the Royals. They got a couple doubles. They got Perez had a double. India had a double. Bobby Witt Jr. had a couple of doubles. Massey had one. So they had some extra base hits. But the Royals dominated proceedings, and now they go from the White Sox to the Red Sox. They're changing their socks. And they're going to be taking on a Red Sox team that I want to talk about in a second because I'm flabbergasted by the story that wasn't really on my radar until Buster Olney put it there yesterday, and now I'm just blown away by the whole thing. We'll get to that in a second. Coming up on the show, we're going to have Stan Weber in studio here in the next segment all the way through the 7 o'clock hour. We got a bunch of things to talk about with Stan. We never run out of things to talk about with Stan, so I'm really excited about that. Jeff Penner's going to give us a weather forecast for the weekend as the Royals are in town over the weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, as that song goes, against the Boston Red Sox. Mike McFarland will join us at 8 o'clock. We'll talk Royals baseball. We'll get his. He knows the Royals and White Sox both very well from his time as a player. Pete Sweeney at 8:30 to talk Little Chiefs, and then Tim Grunhard will be in studio at 9 o'clock. So we've got a full show for you today. All right, I'm going to start with this. The Royals, yes, the Royals won. The Royals are doing great. It's awesome. We'll break it down, all those things. But I want to talk about the team that's coming to town in the Boston Red Sox. Obviously, historically accomplished organization, especially since 2004 when they finally broke the curse. Right now they're 1 game over 500, which puts them 2 games back of the Yankees in the AL East. So they're a part of a division race, at least a little over a month through the season. Buster told us this story yesterday, and it was backed up with some quotes today, or it was yesterday morning when Buster told us about it. Hey, keep this on your radar. And then yesterday, the player in question came out and spoke. And these quotes have my jaw on the floor. And maybe they shouldn't, but the way I view team sports, they do.
It's also through a translator.
Okay, fair enough.
So I don't know. It's really weird. It is through a translator, and there's a lot of, Twitter's awesome at sometimes, and it's terrible at other times. But a lot of people are criticizing how it's being translated.
That's fair.
So,
and I will say this: my journey to try to become fluent in Spanish is a process.
Right, and it's very impressive. I must give you a lot of credit. You did an interview in all Spanish right here on the show, and we had Tech Nine and all the media people in here, and you sat there, and I was super impressed with your ability to speak Spanish and I know the efforts that you're putting in to speaking Spanish as a second language. So
it's given me an appreciation, even more of an appreciation for somebody who learns a second language, like somebody that moves to another country and learns a second language. Now, if you do that, you're immersed in it, so it does accelerate it.
Sure.
Because I'm trying to immerse myself in it by watching my family. I'm driving my family nuts because I have Spanish language television on in the house all the time.
Podcasts in Spanish.
And they don't know. I'm watching games in Spanish, and because I'm trying to immerse myself as much as possible. But it's been a 2-year process, and I'm still far from fluent. And
so if I played his comments in Spanish, do you think you'd be able to translate it?
That's a great question. I could try.
Let's try it.
After Tristan's injury, I'm assuming.
Sí, después que pasó lo que pasó con casa, vinieron de mí. Yo sé que soy un pelotero, pero tampoco puedo jugar todas las posiciones, no me puedo adaptar como cualquier otro pelotero a una posición. Si de jugar primera saben que no va a jugar de una vez, pero no es muy buena la decisión. Vinieron hacia mí.
Okay, so basically what he said was, yes, I'm a player, but it's difficult to try to play every position, and I don't agree with the decision to try to make me play every position. But what I'm doing when I translate that is definitely not word for word. You know what I mean? Like, I'm taking the phrases that he says, I understand the points that he's making, and I'm generalizing them. And that's kind of the point. Like, I have to do that sometimes for MLS on Apple TV. If they do a post-game interview in Spanish, I can translate those most of the time. Usually, the players talk in cliches, so it makes it easier. You know, it's like the same type of thing that you hear an English language player say, yeah, it was a great win. We're trying hard. We want to play good baseball. You know, we want to come out and do the same thing every day. You know, whatever. We have Spanish language producers that sometimes will get in your ear and tell you what they said. But what I've learned from those guys now that I like I said, I'm not going to oversell my Spanish. I am not fluent. But I understood what he just said right there. I would say I understood 75% of what he said, right? I understood the point he was making. But even the Spanish language translators, when they do it, they're not, especially when somebody says it, he talked a lot. He talked very fast right there, right? If somebody translate that, they're not giving you the actual word-for-word translation of what the guy said. They're kind of summarizing what he said most of the time. Does that make sense? So, and when you're going to nitpick language over what a guy said, that kind of matters, right?
Yes, absolutely. It's fascinating because now you read it in text, like the quotes were out everywhere.
Yeah,
like the actual quotes.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes you wonder, like, okay, these are translated quotes.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to read the quotes, the translated quotes, and I think that's good that you put it in perspective because they're mind blowing in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely, and it doesn't soften it at all.
Now, I will say this: his actions back up the quotes.
Yes,
you know, like so. It's like his actions are following what the quotes say here, and I'm just going to read some of this article. Rafael Devers is the Boston Red Sox designated hitter. I'm reading from ESPN.com, but it's an Associated Press article. Okay, Rafael Devers is the Boston Red Sox designated hitter, and he's not interested in another position switch. Speaking with reporters for the first time since Tristan Casas was ruled out for the season after rupturing his left knee tendon and undergoing surgery, Devers said Thursday the Red Sox management approached him about the idea of filling in as Boston's first baseman. I'm going to pause the article there for a second, just for reference. What Buster told us yesterday was there's an expectation in the Red Sox front office that Devers, not only should they not have to ask him, he should come knock on the manager's door and say, hey, I will play first base because the team needs me to. Like, make it easier on them because he's a team player. Well, not only did he not do that, they asked him and he said no. I'm going back to the article now. Devers, a three-time All-Star, said he doesn't see it in his best interest to make another position switch after being asked to move from third base to DH during spring training after the Red Sox signed Alex Bregman to play third. Quote, they came to me and to talk about it, end quote. Devers said after homering and driving in two Boston runs in their 5-1 win or 5-0 win over 5-0 win over Texas. Sorry, can't help myself sometimes. Quote, I know I'm a ball player, but at the same time, they can't expect me to play every single position out there. In spring training, they talked to me and basically told me to put away my glove. I wasn't going to play another position other than DH. Right now, I don't think it would be an appropriate decision by them to ask me to play another position. That's the quote, by the way, that Jake just played. The one that I translated loosely, right? But that's what he actually said. I don't know if you want to play it again now that we've heard it. I mean, it's in Spanish, so people might not care anyway. But that's the exact quote that you just played. And I would say from what he said, that's pretty accurate. I mean, I don't think that they really got anything wrong there from what I heard him say. Devers said he spoke with Red Sox Chief Baseball Officer Greg Breslow about the prospect of playing first in Casas' absence. For now, Boston is filling the first base spot with the platoon of Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro. Quote, he played ball. I would like to think that he knows that changing positions isn't easy. End quote. Devers said through Red Sox interpreter Davison Perez. They put me in this situation. They told me they didn't want me to play another position. I'm going to read some of these other quotes. Now they should do their jobs essentially and hit the market and look for another player. I'm not sure why they want me to be an in-between. Next thing you know, someone in the outfield gets hurt and they want me to play the outfield. I know the kind of player that I am, and that's where I stand. He said he also was upset that Boston would consider having him take over a position where he has logged 0 innings as a big leaguer. Quote, they told me that I'm a little hard-headed, but they already asked me to change positions once. This time, I don't think I can be as flexible. I don't feel they stayed true to their word. They told me I was going to play this position, DH. Now they're going back on that.
Also preface that in the offseason, he signed a 10-year, $313 million deal. That's 9 figures. So they're paying this guy $313 million over the next 10 years.
Guaranteed, by the way.
Oh, yeah, all of it.
Major League Baseball contracts are guaranteed, not like in the NFL.
You will see every penny of that.
Yeah. Like in the NFL, if you sign a 10-year deal, what you're really signing is a series of 10 one-year contracts. And yes, they kind of have to keep you for a certain amount of time with an NFL contract because of the guaranteed money. But at some point in that contract, they can walk away anytime they want.
Now you are seeing more guaranteed contracts in the NFL. Like the rookie from Iowa State just signed a first time ever a second-round draft pick has had a fully guaranteed contract.
But it's very rare to this point.
It has never happened.
Right. So, and look, that's why NFL players go for the guaranteed money is the biggest thing. This is the money that you know you're going to get. But in baseball, you're getting all of it.
Yep.
Now, I wonder what happens. I don't know what the language of their contract says. If a guy refuses to play, that I would think would give you recourse to say, wait a second, he's not living up to his part of the contract. Unless they put in the contract, this is a $300 million contract to play first base and DH only, or third base and DH only.
By the way, I was thrown off yesterday just his reference to playing the position of DH.
That's kind of funny. Playing the position.
Right. Like, because he referenced, they moved me to, like, you're not really playing a position. You're hitting.
Yeah.
Which you would be doing anyways.
Yeah, there's
right?
no position.
You're not playing a position. You're sitting on the bench and you're hitting.
Yeah.
It's not a position. There's 9 positions on the infield and you're not playing one of them. So they didn't move you to a position.
Right.
You're just hitting all the time. And he's like, well, they asked me to move positions already once. It's like, no, they moved you away from third base because Bregman's one of the best third basemen in the league.
We could get on a tangent. First of all, I know everybody's pro DH because it makes for more offense. Just the concept of it, the idea of it, I find hilarious. Like the idea that there's one guy who doesn't really have to be a baseball player. He just has to be a hitter. I guess it's kind of like being a kicker. Like, you don't really have to be a football player. You just have to kick, you know? But, like, I don't I feel like in most sports, you kind of have to play the whole game. Like in basketball, you don't get to have like just a designated shooter, you know, like who like
he comes in and shoots free throws.
like he never has to play defense. He never has to pass the ball. He never has to do any of the other things that involve playing basketball. He just has to score.
It's very unique. It's but like that's like it throws me off. He's like, well, they already asked me to move positions once. It's like, did they? They just moved you off at third base.
I mean, look, I guess you hear players say that it can be a difficult transition to DH because you're not actually involved in the game. You're just sitting there the whole game.
I get it. And he struggled early, and he's started to come around now. And so I get it. There's a different mental capacity that's involved in being a DH. I totally understand that. But it's not like you had to go out and learn how to play second base. And it's like, okay, they moved me from third to second, and I've taken all these reps at second. I've done all this hard work at second base to get it better at second base, and now they're moving me to first. I would kind of get that.
Yeah.
I would kind of get that.
Kind of.
But they didn't do that. They just moved you off at third base, and you're a designated hitter. And now they're asking you to play first base.
Yeah. This quote here, I know I'm a ball player, but at the same time, they can't expect me to play every single position out there. I mean, they can't.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Then you're not a ball player.
Do you know how many times Jonathan India played third base before he got to Kansas City?
No, I don't.
0 times. His first start at third base on opening day was the first time he's ever played third base. And do you know how much he played outfield before he got to Kansas City? None. 0 times. So, you don't hear Jonathan India being like, well, they traded for me, and I need to be at second.
And he ain't making $300 million.
I need to be at second base.
He's not making $300 million.
Right.
This part of the quote, next thing you know, someone in the outfield gets hurt, they want me to play the outfield. And you said you're a ball player. You said you're a ball player. Like, you said you play baseball. That's the job. Isn't the job to play baseball? And isn't the job to try to help your team? Like, if your coach feels like putting you in a certain position helps the team win, that's the essence of what you're out there for. And that part, I could go on a tangent about society right now. This is a group project. And you and I talked about this yesterday. Baseball is unique because it is a team sport, but it's played in an individual context. We look at batter versus pitcher. We can isolate the player's numbers. And so numbers, like individual numbers, matter more in baseball than they do in other sports. Because even in football, we get caught up in stats, fantasy statistics, and all that stuff. But the true football person, like Stan that's coming in, will tell you, if you rush for 1,000 yards, Emmitt Smith is not solely responsible for the 1,000 yards that he rushed for every season. There were a whole bunch of offensive linemen and a coach that developed a scheme and a quarterback that had to keep the defense honest by what he did. There was an entire team aspect to those 1,000 yards. Whereas as a baseball player, there's a little bit more of, okay, you're the guy that stood up there in the batter's box facing that pitcher and you hit the ball. So there is a little bit more of an individual component to it. But at the end of the day, it is a team sport. It is a group project. The team wins or loses on a nightly basis. So for me, the thing that I love about team sports and my kids playing them, and the reason that I want them to play them, is to understand the concept that when you're within that context, your job is whatever the hell it takes to help the team win. If the coach wants you to go score 20 points a game as the number one option on the basketball team, then that's your job. You need to do it. But if the coach wants you to facilitate everybody else scoring so that you win, that's your job, and you're supposed to do it. And I'm blown away that a guy would play a team sport and refuse to do what the team needs from him to try to help the team win. That just right there blows my mind. And then you add to it, and in a weird way, this makes it worse. He's getting guaranteed $300 million to do it. And he's like, nah, it's got to be the way I want to do it, or else it's not good for my career. And like you were saying, Jake, I almost understand if he was in a contract year. And he's like, man, if I go out and do this is going to damage my value massively, and that hurts me. I still wouldn't understand it, because at the end of the day, to me, if I'm a GM and I see a guy that can hit like him but refuses to actually do what the team needs to win, I don't want him on my team anyway. But there's some GMs out there that would they're still playing him, so they obviously don't feel like it's a deal breaker for them.
And he also had quotes about quote, here in the clubhouse, thankfully, the relationships I have with my teamates are great.
Are they?
I'm gonna say the fact that the fact that he's so out of touch on this situation. I'm gonna go say like, from your perspective.
Yeah.
And guess what? And now all your teammates are gonna have to answer questions about this. They're gonna get asked about it.
Yeah.
Hey, if they asked you to move to first base, would you? You know, when they signed Bregman, I need to find the quotes. But Bregman, asked once he signed with the Red Sox, knowing that Devers played third base, he said, "I don't know what the plan is. I'm just excited to be here, have him as my teammate. I'll play anywhere that they put me."
That's the answer you hear from almost any player anytime.
Right.
Like when we interview a player, like, hey, what's your best position? Where do you feel like you're best on the team? Well, you know what? Wherever the coach wants me to play, that's where I want to play. Guys are almost programmed to say that.
Not Rafael Devers.
No, he's cutting his own. I guess he's cutting his own path. But I'm glad that the Royals are playing a team that are in that situation. Because I don't get that vibe from the Kansas City Royals right now. I get a vibe that they're a collective group that want to try to win together. And to me, I'll take that. I'll take that over the high-priced player. We'll see what happens. Stan Weber's in studio, and we're going to get his thoughts on this because not only does Stan love football, he covers basketball and has coached kids in multiple sports that are in a team concept. And we can talk about all that as we continue. This is New Day with SSJ on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
This is New Day with SSJ.
Hello, Kansas City. Stephen St. John here, also known as Esteban San Juan. And I'm here for my great friends at Diamonds Direct. I love going to see Angie, the GM, David, and, of course, Tom. And they always treat me very well, and they'll treat you even better, okay, because you're better than me. Trust me on that one. Diamonds Direct is located right off 119th Row in Leawood. And now you can finish your Mother's Day shopping if you haven't already. You better, or else. You go to Diamonds Direct, and they will make Mother's Day even more special. With your purchase, you'll receive a limited edition purple travel jewelry roll. It's adorable, it's elegant, and the perfect travel companion for mom. Can you believe that? That's awesome. And if you book an appointment, you can get $100 off your purchase. So, if you go to Diamonds Direct, you'll be happy. Mom will be happy. Everybody wins. Diamonds Direct, located off 119th and Row. And when you go to Diamonds Direct, be sure to tell them Stephen St. John sent you.
Did you hear that? If hail and strong winds hit your area, your roof could be damaged. Call Pyramid Roofing for a free inspection. With 30-plus years of trusted service, they'll protect your home. Visit PyramidRoofingKC.com. Pyramid
We have a lot of football to talk about with Stan Weber, who is here in studio now. But, Stan, I know that you heard at least the last part of our conversation about Rafael Devers and the Boston Red Sox, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on that situation.
Well, Nate, welcome to the show, by the way.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Thanks for having me, Jake.
Every Friday, Stan. Staple, buddy.
It just seems like old home week to me when I hear you talking about the lineup on Friday, because Mike McFarland and my kids went to school together. We go to church together.
Yeah.
Many, many, many years. Not Mike McFarland, the baseball player. I didn't know him when he's a Royal, but after he retired, Mac and Sights, all the other things he's doing. I mean, we coached each other's kids. And then you go to Tim Grunhart, and our kids are big-time friends, grew up together and at the high school age at Bishop Miege. And then Tim coached at Bishop Miege and coached my son Stanton. And, gosh, the connectivity, I just laugh on this Friday show. And here you are as well. Back to the subject. Now, the way my brain works is very simple, that I always think about two sides to every story, or 3 or 4 or 5 sides. So immediately when you guys start speaking about this, I start thinking about the other side of this.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
Yeah, no, that's good.
That should not be thought of as my conclusive statement. I'm not stepping up and saying, this is what I think. It's more of, this is what questions I have in my mind when I hear you guys speak.
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, from the media perspective, what do you always say, you media types and you talk show hosts and people who put on great production? Jake's in here, for 20 hours a week putting on entertainment and news. What do you want? You want people to tell the truth. That's what you always say. Like, why don't the players quote?
Speaking cliches, yeah.
Why don't they say things what they really think?
Yeah.
And then they get blasted whenever they do that. I think that I chuckle about that every time. Okay, next thing to think about, just to think about. Nate, you're a team guy. Sports Radio 810, what's their job? To put on a good radio product to make money. It's a team.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people doing a lot of things behind the scenes. I'm lucky enough to be here in the building, in the studio, and it's not just a studio. Okay, there's a control room over there where Jake is, and there's a lot of other jobs being done around here, right? And they all are important to help win. Okay? So one question I have is, they say, Nate, we need you to help us win. We really need you to go over and take over that control room for the next 3 weeks. And Jake, you've had you're a broadcaster and you're a part of this. You're the host for 4 hours. Suddenly you might say to yourself, I wonder, this may not be the best utilization of my skills for our team to win.
Are you going to pay me $313 million to do it?
I don't know. I'm just, if it's all about money what you're talking about here, but I'm just saying, he is saying, I'm not a first baseman. Why? I've never played first base in the major leagues. Is a first baseman different than a third baseman? Tell me that.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay. Is being the host, Jake, or being in the control room and speaking once in a while different? Because I hear your voice. So you ready to start hosting these shows?
I've hosted shows before.
Okay. But I'm just saying, is that the best use of your talent?
Are you my boss? Are you Chad Boger?
No, I'm not your boss. I'm just using an example.
Okay, well, if my boss came and asked me to do that, which, he's asked me to do things that are outside of sitting in this control room.
Would you quote people, if you had the media around you, would you quote them accurately, like say, that's not the best use of my skills being the host, but I'll go over there and do it?
I mean, I think, look, I understand your example, but I wouldn't have a problem doing that.
So, yeah, I think my answer to that would be...
Oh, yeah, now, Nate, I want you to go...
Nate's a pretty technical guy, too.
Okay, no, I'm going to say, Nate, you go to marketing department. For the next 6 months, we need you.
Because
a guy, there's a leading salesperson who is pregnant and is not allowed to get out and work right now. Needs to be very careful. So we want you to be in the sales department and make sure you hit that mark of a couple $1 million of sales, so we can keep this team winning.
Yeah.
So Nate, head on over there.
So
would you just say, I'm part of the team and I'll do it, or would you say, no, I'm the highest paid guy around here, and let me do what I do best and fill in around it.
So I think it's a great question, and I like the fact that you're offering a counter perspective to it because this makes it a better conversation than if we all sat around and said, yeah, what a jerk, what an idiot he is, and we're all on the same page. But
I also am pointing out first base is different than third base. Don't act like, it's just a baseball player. This is the major leagues.
It is different, but I would say that the analogy of what you said of like, okay, now I have to go run the board is better than saying like I have to go work in sales. Because to me, that analogy would be more like, hey, Rafael Devers, we want you to go be a scout now. Or we want you to go work in the marketing department for the front office. We're still in broadcasting over here. We're like you're still playing baseball.
And I'll point out, I'm not here to debate you. I'm just asking. You guys can answer and say that's not a big deal, and we move on.
Yeah,
because that's just a point. And I'll throw out my last
question. Because look, can I answer it though? Because I want to answer you.
If you don't want to, because it's not a debate. It's
but I want to answer the question because I think it's because if I'm going to stand here and criticize him for that, I think that I need to be able to say that I would do the same thing. And I would say this. My answer would be, if I'm under contract here and Chad and Lebo came and said, hey, by the way, for the next week, Jake's out. You got to learn how to run the board. And that's part of like, I'm part-time here now. But back when I was a full-time person, I have actually sat over there and ran the board a couple times in an emergency situation. It wasn't pretty. But
well, that's the thing. What happens if you make mistakes? You let people cuss on the air.
Right.
Things like that. Don't act like you're good at it.
Right.
We're acting like, you're tough, and you go. No, let's just you go in and fail.
The job did get done. We were on the air.
Yeah.
Opposed to not being on the air.
But you don't hit your brakes. Like you missed like 7 breaks, and you let cussing go on. Would you say? I shouldn't have been put in that situation.
Is it better than dead air?
So to me,
it's management's job to hire a person to do that job. That's what he said.
Right.
That's a good point. You go out and find a first baseman. I do my thing. Okay. Anyway, I didn't mean to make a debate. I'm just bringing balance.
I like that, but I still fundamentally disagree with it because, like I said, and just give me a second here, Jake, on this because I think it's a good point. Now, if maybe I were a bigger star, I would feel like, no, that's beneath me. I'm not doing that. But I would say this: if Todd Lebo came down here and said, Nate, as a full-time employee here, we need you to do this for the next week. My response I might have the conversation with him. Do you don't think there's a better person to do that? But if he says, no, man, we need you to do this for the next week because we're in a bad spot, I would say, okay, teach me how to do it. Give me some grace because I'm not going to be great at it. But if that's what the team needs to get us on the air, and like Jay said, I have actually literally done that a few different times on the show. I've had to be on the phone with the Drake telling me which buttons to push. Now, I did spend time. This is actually a really good analogy because I did spend time in my life running a board. I did that for Seren Petro for a couple of years at another radio station.
You are a utility infielder.
And that is, there are guys.
What happens if you're Rush Limbaugh?
Right.
If you're Rush Limbaugh for the Rush Limbaugh show, rest in peace, right? He was a force.
He was
the guy that so he's Rush Limbaugh, and they tell him, okay, how long is 1 year a baseball player compared to a normal life job? 5 years?
I mean, it's a lot.
10?
Yeah.
So they're asking him to go play first base for 5 years, not 2 weeks. So they tell Rush Limbaugh, you're Nate Bukaty, Rush Limbaugh right now, they say, let's just take you off the air, Rush, because we have someone who can't do their job over here. Please go fill in to help the team out. You would just sit there and go, you're an idiot who's this team's going to lose.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just going to say, you're asking me to do something that makes no sense. I'm going to say it. I have no interest in it. It's a dumb decision, and here we go. That's more like it. He's leaving a position. Now, my other point, because you guys say that's not a big deal. The other one is, I'm the CEO of a company. I think you have some responsibility in a leadership role and decision-making to be accountable for what you say and what you do. They told him to put your glove away and become Hal McRae. Hal McRae got hurt and couldn't play but Hal McRae was the first guy that just said, this is a position, DH. The food I eat, my muscle groups that I use are all about hitting. I'm not stretching every day to feel how to field and taking grounders or anything else. You told me put the glove away. We invested tens of millions of dollars in you. Go hit.
Do you think they really told him that, though? He said they basically told me to put my glove away.
I do think they said that.
I find that so hard to believe.
They took his position. He was a third baseman. He's already made this step. You guys are acting like he's the biggest jerk. He already made the step.
Look,
he's
I don't know him personally.
Him,
I'm not calling him a jerk.
No. They said, we're putting someone else in your position, not letting you compete for it. We need you for the team to put the glove away, which is a whole different mentality. You guys brought it up well. You're not really a baseball player. You're a kicker. He had to accept to be a kicker. No football player wants to be the kicker. Okay, my buddies don't even respect kickers at all. And the DH, they say, put the glove away, become a DH. He said, yes, I will. Now, less than a month in, those guys can't do their job, and they come to him and say,
well, it's because somebody got hurt, though.
Yeah, there's an injury.
Why didn't management say,
well,
hey, keep your glove, keep working out?
What if Joe Tooney would have told Andy Reid, you know what, I'm a left guard, man. I can't play left tackle. Don't put me at left tackle. I'm a left guard. I'm an all-pro left guard. Don't put me left guard. I'm all pro.
No, I'm not saying, again, don't take that I'm sticking up for this guy.
No, you're playing devil's advocate, and I get that.
I'm just bringing balance in it. Would Joe Tooney have been correct? Leave me at left guard and go find you a left tackle? Would he have been better off? Would the Chiefs have been better off with him doing that?
Absolutely not. How are they going to go find a left tackle in the middle of the season?
No, play one of the other guys who is a left tackle and leave him at left guard. Would they have been better off letting him be a star left guard?
I think Joe Tooney had the mindset, I'm a champion. I want to be.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm the biggest guy. I was a big Joe Tooney moving to left tackle. But back to management. Management needs to be be accountable for what they're doing. If you're telling this guy to put up your glove, and then they came back and said, oh, unless our third baseman gets hurt, be ready to go back. But not first base, which is totally different. And they told him to change his mindset, suck it up, give up fielding, become a kicker. That's a hard thing to do. And now they're changing their mind. Hey, a management needs to be accountable for what they do. Make decisions. Go out and find a first baseman. That's what you should do. And let this guy rake playing DH. That was the plan. What is the plan? If I change the plan every day, how are my employees going to work? And last point I'll make, anybody who thinks that there's dissension in the locker room because he said that really don't understand big-time sports, okay? The players in the locker room in baseball, they are not that connected, okay? They play an individual sport that has some team component to it, and they probably respect the hell out of him that, you know what, he shouldn't be playing first base. They should go find out. They're not management guys. They're player guys. So I don't think there's dissension on the team at all. That's a nice narrative for us to sit here. Oh, if you're not a part of the team, I don't think that's the case. They have quirky attitudes, and everyone's accepted in the locker room. If he goes out and hits and plays DH, they're like, that's management's problem.
I'm dying to hear what Mike McFarland has to say at 8 o'clock.
I have to be honest. I'm very surprised to hear your stance on or the way that you're looking at this.
I'm just trying to bring balance to it.
I appreciate it. I do.
I do too.
I mean, the NFL players say not for long. Okay,
yeah.
They know that they want to play as a team, Nate. I want you to think that they're all Kansas City Chiefs until they die. Those dudes know they're there to make money. They know they'll get cut in 5 seconds. Yeah. And in baseball, there's a lot of guys. Look at the New York Yankees, supposedly in his 70s. They didn't like each other at all.
Yeah.
But when they got up to hit,
yeah,
there's a certain pride and concentration that came up, and they hit the ball hard. And when that turned into a home run, doesn't matter if Reggie Jackson liked Billy Martin or anybody else, those are baseball runs. The pitcher needs the catcher. They need to be a team. Okay, let's just put it this way. Let's go on the other side. The more you are a team, the better. The better. Sure. But it's not necessarily a key part of the real life. Those guys are, if Mike McFarland and another catcher are working together, only one of them is going to be the catcher for the Royals, and the other one's going to be in the minor leagues. You don't think he's talking to his wife about the reality? It's either me or him.
Right. At the professional level, there is an amount of selfishness involved because your career and your money is at stake. There's no doubt about that.
And 1 year's like 10 years of our lives.
Yeah, it's a brief stint. I will just say this. I'm glad that he brought up, if you tell me which athlete I admire and respect more, it's Joe Tooney. It's the guy that says, what does the team need me to do? It might not be putting me in my best situation from myself individually, but what does the team need me to do? I'll do it. And I'll do it because I want to win. And I've never played professional sports. I've only played at the high school level, and my teams didn't win crap. So, but I have been in a lot of locker rooms, and I spent years and years in the Royals clubhouse on a daily basis. And my experience of a major league clubhouse is that there are typically little groups. A lot of the times it's the Spanish-speaking guys that hang out in a group. It's the American guys that hang out in a group. It might be all the pitchers that hang out in a group, and they got their little factions.
Or maybe only just the starters.
And so the idea that all of them see anything one way is wrong right there, because there could be a group of
It's the greatest diversity in the whole world, man. If you can play, welcome to our locker room.
And that's what I was going to say is typically what the guys really care about is not whether or not this is my best friend away from the field. Can I win with this guy? Will this guy help me win is what they care about when it comes to who's in their locker room. There have been guys I've known, they're like, yeah, he's a terrible person, but we need him, and he can win. And so that boils down to it. And maybe that's clearly why.
Maybe they say that dude would be terrible at first base. I hope they don't put him over there.
Oh, there probably is some of that.
And he isn't going to hit as well. They're in the locker room. They're sitting there going, man, that dude, I hope he doesn't play first base.
Now, I mean, look, we know that because Grunhard told us that there was a completely divided locker room about should it be Rich Gannon or should it be Elvis Gerbach, and that most of the guys on the team had a different opinion than the coach. That you're in a bad spot when that happens. I would say this, to me, in general, if you can play third base, you could become a decent first baseman. Third base is a harder position to play than first. It's not the same. There would be an adjustment period. But, to me, it's kind of like if you can play shortstop, you can play anywhere. Bobby Witt Jr. needed a couple weeks to play any position on the field. He could do it at a passable level. I'm not saying he'd be elite at it, but he would be good. If you can play third, I think you can play first. And if I just come back to, I'm trying to imagine Bill Snyder going to one of his players and saying, hey, I'm changing your role a little bit. I know I had you as, I don't know, let's say I know I had you as my guard, but our left tackle just got injured for the year. And I know I already moved you to guard. You were a tackle before, but I'm moving you back. Seeing a player say to him, no, I'm not doing that. You already moved my position once. I'm not moving another position. I can't even imagine it happening.
Well, let's just say, do you think that Bill Belichick, the game may have passed him by, or Nick Saban a little bit, or Vince Lombardi? Because they had all the power.
Right.
Now players have power. Here, this is very important, guys. Listen up. If you listen to this segment, you might think that I'm on the player side and not the team side. Exact opposite for me. So don't say when Mike McFarland gets on here, well, Stan said.
I would never.
No, people do that. They go, well, Stan pointed out.
People are dumb.
No.
Too.
I've
I'm not
been guilty of that on accident in the past.
No, because I didn't. I'm just saying. The question is, what's it like in the locker room? What happens when a player speaks up like that? That's the question. Not, hey, Stan pointed out that there's some individuality and some selfishness on some teams.
Yep.
And baseball, and I'm just saying, management has responsibility to do the right thing. True. Players telling the truth is what we want in the media, and I don't think players disrespect other players nearly as much as anyone thinks, for wherever their world is, because they relate to it. And lastly, I'm just saying, he may say, you're putting me in a position that would hurt this team tremendously, and it comes out wrong.
Yeah.
He's speaking a different language even.
We pointed that out. The translation does have to be
right. That's like me talking about soccer. I don't know what I'm talking about.
I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say he plays first base at some time this year.
We'll see. We'll see.
Give him a month to work it out.
Well, we're going to talk about other players with personalities when it comes to football, because there's a big trade we've been wanting to ask Stan about for the last couple of days. We'll do that. It's all straight ahead right here on New Day with SSJ.
All right, Kansas City. Steven St. John here for DraftKings and Pick 6. You know it's playoff time, and if you're still just watching games, you're missing out. With Pick 6 from DraftKings, you can turn your hoops knowledge into real cash, just like Jake, just like me. You just make your picks, track your score, and if you hit all 6, you're looking at bigger payouts than Prize Picks Flex pays. So if you are a fan of Boston and they lose, or if you're a fan of Oklahoma City and they lose, whatever, If your team loses the game, you don't have to be sad about it because you might win. And nobody's dropping better payouts than Pick 6. Hit 6 picks, and that's 25 times your cash. And if you beat your competition, you could be looking at a 500 times bag in your pocket. And right now, new customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry. So it doesn't matter who you're rooting for, all right? I mean, look, and if you're sad that if Denver loses the game, you don't have to be sad about it, all right? You don't have to be sad about nothing. Even if you don't like Boston and they win, you can still win, and then everyone wins. That's what we want. The playoffs are on, so why not take a shot at making a little money while you're watching? Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app right now and use code 810WHB. That's code 810WHB to play $5 and get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only on Pick 6 from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Men, is good enough really what you want with your sex life? This is Jeff for Heartland Men's Health. And if erectile dysfunction is making a bad bedroom experience for you and your partner, you should call us because you want your intimacy to be fantastic, both for you and the one you love. At Heartland Men's Health, our treatments have success rates of well over 90%. And because we're a medical practice focused on men's sexual health, we can offer many treatment options and even combine treatments to find the right one for you. Which means if you're like most of our patients, we can likely get you performing like you haven't in years. So make an appointment and make a change from good enough to really good. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 844-447-6600. That's 844-447-6600. Or go to heartlandmenshealth.com. We have 3 offices to serve you. Heartland Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
Are you ready to level up your cannabis game? Come to Relief Resources Dispensary, the only dispensary around here open 24/7, 365 days a year. Holidays, snowstorms, everyone else's closed days, we're always open and here for you with Missouri's best selection of medical and recreational cannabis. And new products arriving daily. Plus, grab $25 eighths on select flower and score bundle discounts across the menu. Need it fast? Our 24/7 express pickup windows are here to make your life easy. And check out the biggest selection of concentrates and hash around. Plus stunning functional glass by world-renowned artists. Relief Resources Dispensary is the only dispensary with 3 certified masters of marijuana on staff to help you find the perfect experience. Find Relief in Grandview on 71 Highway, exit at 140th Street. You can check out daily specials and discounts and order online at reliefmo.com. Then pick up anytime, 24/7, 365 at Relief Resources Dispensary.
Stephen St. John here. Is your lawn ready to be the envy of the neighborhood? Custom Lawn and Landscape makes achieving a green, weed-free lawn easy with their expert 7-step fertilization and weed control program. With over 40 years of experience serving Johnson County, they're excited to now be serving Lawrence and all of Kansas City as well. And here's the best